Hi, Lianna here with the Shameless Pleasure Movement, Lianna Live. I'm here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and today I'm on my own and just here to say hi and have a little chat about living off the grid and following your heart. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because I think we have all we've all gone into this massive transition over the last 3 months. We are, we've been locked in, we've been isolated, we've had to figure out other ways of living, figure out other ways to deal with relationships with other people, with ways we're going to deal with our work. And so in a sense, we've all kind of been shifted off the grid into a place unknown to us, unknown in many different levels. For me, I've been living off the grid hi Tom, nice to have you. I've been living off the grid for most of my life. So for me to be in this imposition of being, locked in my house, I'm very used to transitioning and changing and figuring other ways of adapting and living, because I've been doing that for a long time. I know that's the way I prefer to live, as opposed to some kind of 9-to-5 job or something that's very regular and set. Although I know that it's important to have consistency, but and to, you do need to have income. You do want to have some kind of grounding in your life. But I think this has been a really interesting experiment for many people, really putting you in a position when you're given, there's nothing to hold on to, in a sense, right? There's nothing to hold on to anymore, and you're just wondering now. We don't even know what's going to happen in the future. We don't know when or how we're supposed to make plans. I mean, I'm going to talk a little bit about this right now, because actually what I was feeling the other day was this massive shift. I went outside because I've been going out daily for walks. I live about 5 minutes from the beach, so going for a nice walk to get some fresh air. I really believe it's important to have fresh air. And I felt that everything was different. Everything had changed. Everything was new. Everything was I was in a different energetic level, a different energetic shift. And I started to say that throughout the day. Wow, this is over. It's over, and we're somewhere else. I am somewhere else, and I'm sure many other people are somewhere else. And I really believe that we have shifted into this new space, this new paradigm. We've opened up to it. Many more people are involved now, and we've come into this new paradigm. We're not going to be going back to the old way of living. We are moving into something very new. And I liken this to, when people used to think the world was flat, and then explorers started to talk about, no, it's actually a round ball, and people didn't believe them, and people were thrown in jail for their ideas. But then there was a shift, because enough people started to believe it, and there was enough proof to believe it, that the world was round. And so people held on to that concept and that idea and that belief until eventually everybody started to believe that. Of course, there may still be people that believe that the world is flat. There's so many different, I don't like to say levels, but there's so many different kinds of ways there's so many different things that people believe, and there's so many different stages that people are at in the kind of life that they're living and the kind of way that they understand the world and reality. So I liken it to that, liken it from the shift from flat to round, right now from round to something else. Anybody have any ideas what they think it is? I've been listening to a lot of different people. Hi, Leanne. Some people are saying it's a fifth dimension. Some people are talking about it being this expanded new world. I have been feeling like it is definitely a different dimension, a multi-dimensionality, a fifth dimension. So it's like black and white to color as well. into this whole new paradigm. So what are we going to do here? How are we going to live in this new dimension? And I think that I've been participating in multidimensionality for quite a while. So it's super exciting to me because I'm really interested to see, how this is going to be manipulated, how it's going to be, how are we going to move through this. But I really think that it's going to be through just as what we have been doing. We were all placed into our homes. And in a sense, we had to, and I had said this in the beginning a little bit, but I want to use this word, we had to surrender to everything. We now had no access or possibility to have control over anything, over our work, over our daily routine, over our relationships, over different feelings and emotions that came up because we were in a very confined place, over our future, over the plans that we have. We had to really say, okay, I surrender to, eventually, after 2 or 3 weeks of it and not really knowing when it was going to end, just sort of, okay, I surrender. Now, I know not everybody could do that, but some of us were able to just surrender and say, okay, all right, let's play it out and see what happens, see where it goes. Let me see where I feel like going, where I feel like exploring here, where let me go in. And I know a lot of people are doing meditation. I joined this World Meditation Day. I don't know how many people were there, 10, 20, 30,000, not a lot compared to the population, but a lot of people were there to go in and say, okay, let's connect, create a vibration in the world that's different. And that is part of surrender, because then you're connecting to your inner self, you're connecting to your intuition, you're connecting to a deep part of you that is then able to say, hey, this might be an interesting direction. Or, hey, this is something that you like, why don't you go this way? And so when we surrender, we open up possibilities. Is anybody feeling that? Did anybody feel the complete desire, need to surrender so that you could function? For me, it was necessary, and it's what I usually do. Just, okay, more surrender to the day, to surrender to what's going to happen in the future. It's all going to be fine. It's all going to work out. I don't know how, but I surrender to allowing myself to go in to me and finding out, okay, what do I need to do right now? What direction do I need to take? What steps do I need to take or want to take right now? So I think I believe it's a world of more surrender to oneself. And when you can go in and surrender to you and start to really love you, love who you are, love what you do, love what the decisions that you make, love the direction that you take, you offer so much more to others. You offer so much more to others because now you're reflecting all of this love within yourself and reflecting it onto others. And you're able to share it with others much easily because you feel it. You know what it feels like. And you're not tied up with judgment. You're not tied up with anger or fear. You're open to love and sharing and helping and experiencing life in a different kind of way. Does that make sense? So this is about being off the grid. I think that the grid doesn't exist anymore. For some people, yes, it will be there and you can continue to be on the grid. But if you want, you can get off the grid now. You can move into another multidimensionality of your being, of what is possible to you, what is available to you. And that availability, those possibilities are endless. So again, that's why we want to go in, so that we can hear what it is we want to do, so we can hear what direction we want to go. And when you hear those messages, when you find them inside you, listen. Say, okay, okay. And maybe you'll be like, oh my God, really? That's what's coming out for me? And say, okay. And have the guts to take the step. Have the guts to go forward and say, what do I have to lose? This is calling me. I'm going to take a step, and then take another step, and then take another step, and see where it leads you. See where it leads you. And you can always shift and churn and change as you go, because each step is going to require the decision of making another step. But follow that intuitive voice that's going to lead you towards what it is that's more loving in your life. Now, this is why I specifically work with people around sexual issues, singles and couples that are going through sexual blockages and breakdowns and inabilities to connect to their sexual being. Because going into sex is all about surrendering. And it's one aspect of our being that we can really work on, and I can work with people on, because when you work on your sexual being, which is said to be about 25% of your physical energy, then that has a massive effect over the rest of your being. So, I don't know if many people have been having much sex lately, being locked up. Some people have been having a lot. Some people have not been having much or any at all. But you can still connect to your sexual being. You can still feel yourself as a sexual being. You still have sexual organs. You still were born, and you came to life through sex. And when we go into the sexual, and you probably all know this, you tend to surrender. You kind of enter yourself into another dimension, into another place, because you suddenly forget about what's going on. You're just focused on this beautiful, pleasurable experience. But you can go deeper into that. You can surrender even more, and you can practice doing that by just saying that to yourself while you're participating in an experience with somebody, your partner or somebody else. Say, I surrender to this experience. I surrender to this experience. Let my body take me into this experience. And if you can do that, you are practicing this energy of surrender. And that is what we are needing more in our lives now. And I think it's been forced upon us, and some of us have said, okay, I maybe they don't consciously say that, but you have had to surrender, because there's really no choice. We're, in a sense, locked up, jailed, imprisoned, that's the word. So you've had to just surrender. And you realize, what is there? What's left there? But a lot of what's important. A lot of love is there. There's a lot of love is what becomes the most important thing. Connection. The love connections you have with people. The love connections that you'd like to have. So Brett has a comment. Learning to listen to your inner self, your intuition, is being truly awake. Yeah, this is part of this new world that has been created through the massive world of COVID-19, is an awakening of the world, which is first the awakening of the human beings of the world. And as the human beings wake up, the planet begins to wake up. The planet is there. The planet is hey, come on, guys, let's go. I'm here. I want to give you the most joy and pleasure you could possibly ever imagine. I am here to serve you. And instead of us beating away at this beautiful planet that wants to serve us, we have been given the opportunity to go in and slow down and surrender to find what it is that is really pleasurable, and to hopefully then allow that to be our leading force in our lives. The heart, the intuition, let that lead you. That's where you're going to feel good. That's where you're going to feel pleasure. That's where you're going to feel joy. That's where you're going to experience your multidimensionality, when you're in that state of pleasure. And the world is presenting the possibilities to us. So I'm very, very excited about what's going on. I'm very excited to be here now. I am available to people who need help going through this transition. I know that it's scary, and I know of people who are terrified to leave their homes. I also know that nobody's saying leave your homes now, but there are transitions taking place everywhere, and for those who haven't been out of their house for 3 months, it can be terrifying. How do I go about this? How do I go about this now? I feel like a different human being. I feel I've dropped into a different space, a different time and space, and now am I going back to what I was doing before? I didn't even like what I was doing before. I've been thinking about this other thing that I want to do, or I've been doing it. So yes, it's possible. It's possible. Surrender to yourself. Let yourself flow through with that, whatever your heart is telling you, wherever your heart is leading you. This transition to this new platform, world, dimension, multidimensionality is also, money is a very different energy here. When you need money, it comes to you. It's not a fight for it. It's not a constant nag. It's not a constant energy that takes over your life. When you need money, it comes to you. And that is the word that needs to be embedded with you. When I need money, it comes. I get it. It's not a problem. Money is available to me. It's abundant. It's limitless. If that's what your worry is. But if you have other worries, then and you need somebody to talk to, you need some help, you need some transitioning guidance, contact me. I would love to give you some advice, give you some support, give you some guiding. Okay, I'm going to be back on Thursday. I'm here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I have been bringing in guests, which has been so much fun. This is something that happened that was calling me. I wanted to start talking to other people online, and I've been calling up my friends, and I'm going to call up people that I don't know as well. Interesting people to have enlightening conversations and hear enlightening stories, and transmit interesting information about life, love, and sex to y'all. So please come and join me. And I also have a private Facebook group, the Shameless Pleasure Movement, and I'd love to have you part of that. We get into more depth and detail, and it's a place where you can feel safe and more comfortable, I think, to share and talk about things that maybe, you can't talk about on this platform possibly, or you just want to have a little bit more privacy with like-minded people. It's the private Facebook group. I will post it in the bottom. And it's been so great to talk to anybody. I talked to you all here today on Facebook. Oh, take a breath. You live in a safe universe. Surrender to your life. Let it flow. Let your heart tell you which direction to go. Much love making to you all.